I haven't really planned this one out. I'm just going to kind of riff, just kind of off the top of my head. Just talk about John Sykes, who recently passed, and just what an amazing talent he was. In metal circles, he was, obviously a hero, a legend. In outside of metal circles, I don't think he was really all that well known, which is a shame. Obviously, got to start with Tigers of Pantang. Did those just a couple albums with them, but the ones that he did, I thought they were great. His guitar work was great. Then he did some work with Thin Lizzy, the Thunder and Lightning album, which was amazing. And of course, me growing up in suburban America in the well, I grew up in the late '70s, but early '80s. I was in junior high, going into high school, and I wasn't really aware of the whole new wave of British heavy metal thing. I mean, I knew about Iron Maiden, but that was about as deep as my knowledge went. I didn't really have any fantastic, record stores. It was just the Chin stuff. So the first time I really became of him was when I saw the Slide It In video from Whitesnake on MTV, which was odd because he may or may not have played on that. From what I understand, is the original UK release. It wasn't him, but then they re-recorded it for the US, and it was him. But he was basically just kind of playing the parts that had already been recorded. So it really wasn't. It really wasn't his kind of. It really wasn't him. I mean, it was him, but it wasn't him. You know what I mean? And then by the time that the self-titled album came out, in was it '86 or '87, the self-titled Whitesnake album, obviously, then you could really hear just what an absolute monster he was, both on the riffs, as well as the solos, as well as the song composition. Just his fingerprints are all over that album, and honestly, David Coverdale fucked up by firing him. Let's not mince words. He was just incredible. And then that was followed up shortly by the Blue Murder album. The first one, I gotta confess, I haven't heard the second one. But that first one was just, again, his guitar work on that was just insane. And the fucker could sing. He could sing as well. Who knew? Yeah, just the complete package. I only saw him once, and I was lucky to have gotten that. But it was I believe 2000 2001 when he was touring with his version of Thin Lizzy. It was him and Scott Gorham and Tommy Aldridge on drums. I'm sorry, I don't recall who was playing bass. It certainly wasn't Phil. And of course, Phil is irreplaceable. There will never be another Phil Lynott ever. But to see those songs performed live, and to see John Sykes live, and hear him sing live, and to see Scott Gorham, and even Tommy Aldridge, it was a blast, and it was in a small club. Just to be a part of that was just super cool, and I was super 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 stoked, and I'm happy that I got to see him even that one time. But yeah, he was just a monster on guitar, and he really was the whole package. Like I said, he could sing. He, as far as his tone, was just insane. It was so insane. And his riff work was incredible. Like I said, he was a bit like Jakey Lee. Those if you're familiar with like Bark at the Moon, those types of riffs. He did that kind of riffage. And his soloing, he could play just as fast as those guys easily. Jakey Lee, George Lynch, all of the shredders. But he brought something more to the table. He reminded me a lot of kind of like a Dave Minichetti style of guitar player, where the speed is there, and the tone is there, and the power is there. But there's something else there as well. The solos aren't just him vomiting a bunch of notes as fast as he can. His solos can be very like blindingly fast, but the notes, they all serve a purpose. They're not just notes for the sake of notes. There's a soul there, and there's a sense of blues there, and there's a spirit in those solos, and they make sense. in the context of the song. And I think that was something that a lot of his contemporaries were frankly lacking. There were a ton of guys that could play, the speed of light, and he was one of them. But he could do so much more than that. Anyway, it really sucks that he's gone, and but we still have the music, as they say, and I'm glad. I'm glad. So listen to some John Sykes. Get familiar with his catalog if you're not. Like I said, Thunder and Lightning by Thin Lizzy, that self-titled Whitesnake album, Blue Murder. Those are a good place to start. He also did a live album. I listened to it on Apple Music. I think it came out in the mid 2000s. It's him in Japan, I believe, and he's doing just kind of a it's an entirety of his career. I don't think there's any Tigers of Pantang stuff on there, but there's some Lizzy stuff and some Whitesnake stuff on there. And to hear it live, and him singing it in his cadence, it's pretty badass. So anyway, rest in peace, John Sykes. You were awesome. And for those of you watching this, thanks so much.